Welcome to Riders Block. I'm Rex. He's Lav. It's Arnold Palmer Invitational Week, which means it's a home game for me, but not for Lav anymore. Lav, I miss you, pal.
I'm not gonna lie, Rex. I don't miss the 45-minute drive and the very unfortunate parking situation at Bay Hill. I will gladly wait until my home game next week at the Players.
Two things. One, the driving situation's gotten much better. I don't know if you know, they opened up an express lane on I-4. It cost a fortune, but it's worth every penny that I paid not to sit in traffic. And the other is parking's not that bad. So I'm looking forward to Bay Hill.
That's because they give you a spot right outside the media tent. Us underlings have to go over on like the Charger course.
That's true. I did get the good spot. So I'm not going to sit here and brag. That's the humble brag for the day. But I do want to dig into Bay Hill, which is, again, the home game for me, not for you. What's the storyline you're looking forward to the most?
Rex, I want to see some big stars start to show up. And this is not a knock on the winners that we have had on the PGA Tour in 2022. There have been some terrific players, from Scottie Scheffler to Hideki Matsuyama. However, the average world ranking of the winners in the calendar year 2022 is outside the top 75. Jon Rahm, for all of his hype and for all of his official world golf ranking greatness, has not won in about 9 months on the PGA Tour. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. So I think it's an opportunity this week, whether it's Rahm, whether it's Rory, whether it's Hideki, once again, who has a really good record on this golf course, to kind of cement himself, because the calendar's turn to March. It's time for these big dogs to start to show up.
No, and I think I went a different way, but I think you and I are saying the same thing on this one. I want Rory to finally be Rory. Look, it's a golf course he's won. He's put the cardigan sweater on before. He knows how to play on this particular course. It's a time of year when we expect him to start playing his best golf, and we really haven't seen it. I mean, he's played decent golf. I don't think there's anything to be alarmed about.
I mean, he's finished 3 straight top 12 finishes on the calendar year.
And that's great. When you go back to Los Angeles, he kind of touched on that today when he spoke in the media center at Bay Hill. I think he's happy with where his game is, but he needs to keep moving in that direction. You're getting to that time of year when T12 is probably not going to do it if you're a player of Rory's caliber. And look, I don't know that he puts those type of expectations on himself. He probably doesn't. But with the Masters coming up, and we all know what pressure is going to come with that, with the Players' Championship coming up, another course where he's performed well, he's won before, I just think his expectations need to start matching what we all think he should be doing. And on this particular course, it rewards what he does best. When he's driving the golf ball well, there's no one that can compete with him. And I feel like this is the week. And I will say this, I have a running bet week in and week out. We're just betting for wine. No money's on the line whatsoever. But the caddy and I trade off. I take 5 players, he gets the field. The next week, he takes 5 players, he gets the field. I took Rory, Rahm, Victor Hovland, and I wasn't sure about my next 2 picks, but it was Hideki. Yes? No? Maybe? You like it?
Yeah, I like Hideki.
All right. And then I think I bottomed out. I went Adam Scott. Probably not the best bet.
Not the best bet, although I did see that he changed his sweater for Bay Hill week after wearing the exact same one during Riviera. So who knows? Maybe a change of apparel is exactly what Adam Scott needed to get back in the winner's circle for the first time in 2 years.
You don't think Adam Scott owns 7 different sweaters of the same color? You don't think that's a possibility?
I'm not sure. It's starting to feel like Doug. It's starting to feel like Doug in that green vest. Like,
all right, we talked about this on Sunday night when the Honda finished up. I was happy we finally got to the East Coast and we got to that element of a difficult golf course. That social media wasn't going to go crazy and start complaining about the game's too easy for the tour players. This particular week is Bay Hill, another very, very, very difficult test. But is it the toughest test of the Florida swing?
This time of year, probably not. I would say PGA National last week at the Honda Classic is the most difficult test that these players are probably going to face all season long. And even this year was probably a little bit easier than we've seen in recent years. The wind in South Florida just kicks up 15, 20 miles an hour and makes that water-laden golf course play that much more difficult. There's no doubt, and you're out there this week at Bay Hill, you know better than I do, but the rough pictures that I've seen is just absolutely eating up golf balls. It is very long. It's supposed to be very warm this week, so the golf course, the ball is going to fly a little bit, and the greens might be a little bit more receptive. But if the players do not find the fairway on a very long golf course, it's going to be a long test. Now, I think looking ahead to the rest of the Florida swing, TPC Sawgrass this time of year plays a little bit easier than it would have in May, just because the overseed, and Innisbrook for the Valspar Championship is a great test of golf. Probably my favorite golf course among these Florida swing courses. But no, that one's not the most difficult.
No, I think I'm with you. I think PGA National is, and statistically, I think that's proven year in and year out. To your point, I thought May in the Players Championship before it moved back to March was the most difficult just because of the way they were able to set it up. It was hard and fast, and suddenly those fairways started to get very, very narrow simply because balls were running out 10, 20, 30 yards sometimes. And it didn't have the crazy long rough, but it would run into those collection areas. It would run into those wild areas.
So much grain. I mean, that's the stuff of nightmares. That's nightmare fuel.
And look, I understand why they made the move back to March. I get how it fits into the tour calendar. I get that now we have 5 months of big events, some, even major events. I'll even go so far as to call them that. However, I just think it was such a better test when it was in May because it was more difficult for all the reasons that you just pointed out. It got hot. The winds could come up. It was unpredictable. I just think next week we're going to end up with a golf course that's soft and guys are going to be able to go after. So I think
Rex, a couple of weeks ago, I made 4 birdies during my round of 77 at TPC Sawgrass. If I can do that, what are the best players in the world going to do?
Humble brag. Moving on because Haley says so. Bryson DeChambeau withdrew, I believe it was on Monday, said in a video on social media that he just wasn't ready. How concerned are you for this WD?
I'm concerned in the sense that I don't think we're going to see him on the PGA Tour in a month. And that is probably speculative. He said that he's, quote, 90%. He said that he's hoping to be ready for the Players' Championship. But all signs don't really point to that, Rex. I mean, Bryson DeChambeau was just given clearance by his trainer and his doctors to start hitting balls late last week. And according to a member of his team, he tried to ramp up his golf activity over the weekend and soon realized that was not in his best interest to do so. 90% is probably being a little bit generous. The amount of golf balls that he is going to have to hit after a month away, the amount of golf balls that he needs to hit just to kind of keep up with his regular training is immense. And so, quite frankly, I don't want to see him next week. I want to see Bryson DeChambeau at his best for the rest of 2022. And to me, that means sitting out until the Masters. That gives him the best chance to win the Masters. That gives him the best chance to have a productive 2022. But because if he comes back a little bit too soon and gets perhaps gouging out of the rough at TPC Sawgrass, I don't think that's a recipe for success.
So you're thinking the Masters. That's what you're pegging.
Yeah. Yep. It's hard. It's hard for me to see him playing again before that.
I can see that. And this goes back to the conversation we've had over the last few weeks, really since Torrey Pines. When it comes to Bryson, we've talked about this all along, that the things he's doing to his body, the ways he's trying to revolutionize the game, I don't think anyone felt like it was sustainable, and that certainly over the long haul, his body wasn't going to hold up. I don't think many people predicted that it was going to start breaking down this early in the process, because it seems like we were just at Winged Foot and he was revolutionizing the game and doing those special things. So for us to be here, and by all accounts, I've been told it's a wrist issue. There's a hip issue involved. There was a back issue at Torrey Pines that he was dealing with. There's a collection of things. My level of concern is high. If we're doing 1 to 10, I'm doing 8.5 because I just believe at this point in his career, he's still a young man. But for all the things that he's done to his body, I'm very concerned.
Look, Bryson said on social media, this is all we can go on officially, is that he has a bone bruise in his left hand. That is the official diagnosis according to Bryson DeChambeau. The only way, Rex, that a bruise heals is to give it time, is to have inactivity. Bryson DeChambeau, by his very nature, is not inactive. He is kinetic motion personified. I mean, the dude goes relentlessly 24 hours a day. He said this has been the most difficult period of his career, just sitting out and doing nothing. And yet he needs to do that, in my opinion, for the next couple weeks, if not a month, to try and salvage something of his 2022. Because right now, at this point, it looks like a lost year.
That was spoken like someone who spent a lot of time on WebMD the last few days. How you feeling? You all right, pal?
I'm not going to lie. Things have not been going great. I actually think I'm dying. I have muscle stiffness, and things are not going great. We can get into that more after the show.
I feel like that's an exaggeration. Check out the podcast if you want to hear more on that nonsense. All right, we're going to move on to rapid fire. I love these. As I pointed out earlier, I don't bet on golf, but when I am in the UK, I love these bets, with head-to-head bets. So we have Jon Rahm and Rory McIlroy. Who you like?
This might be the first time in my life that I've gone against Jon Rahm, but I think Rory McIlroy's track record at this golf course is too good to ignore. Win in 2018, 5 straight top 10 finishes. Jon Rahm making his Bay Hill debut. I'm going to go with Rory.
I think I'm going to go with Rory too, for the reasons I just pointed out. He's had success on this golf course. When he is playing his best, every part of his game fits this golf course to an absolute T. And he has had decent results. I feel like he's been close enough. There's no reason not to. John Rahm's playing Bay Hill for the first time. He was told he's going to like the course. I'm not quite sure that's the way it's going to pay out, but we're going to have to wait and see. All right, one more head-to-head.
John Rahm is good everywhere. Let's just be clear.
That's true. He can't perform everywhere. He doesn't particularly care for Southeast venues. When you start getting to the Bermuda grass, it's a little bit different this week with the overseed. But yes, there is something to that. Another interesting head-to-head with a Ryder Cup tilt to it. Newly named U.S. captain Zach Johnson or last year's European captain Padraig Harrington. Who you got?
I'm going to be honest. I don't see either of them playing particularly well. Padraig Harrington, at least,
but you like that in the meeting that we had when we talked about this. You loved it. Oh yeah, I love that.
I mean, Harrington hits it longer. If they both find the rough, it's going to be difficult. Zach Johnson, how can his form possibly be any good? The only thing I've seen him do over the past couple of days is give interviews as the new U.S. Ryder Cup captain. I don't think he's going to play well. No, I think his mind is elsewhere.
I think his mind is elsewhere. I told you the story right before we came on. He had to spend pretty much all of last week in West Palm Beach preparing for that press conference. So you're right. He hasn't spent a lot of time.
Those nasty golf media and their damn questions.
I know. They're bad questions. And I saw Harrington actually on Monday morning. He was the first person I saw on the range at Bay Hill.
Omen bet.
Yes. So I got to go with him. Of course, he was grinding it out. All right. Interesting week, as we pointed out. Difficult golf course. What do you think the winning score is going to be? Is it going to be double digits?
Double digits, yeah. I mean, the weather's supposed to be good. You'll know that better than I do. Something in 12 to 15 under par. Nothing outrageous. I don't think we're going to be approaching 20 under like we saw at Riviera. I think 12 to 15 on this golf course is kind of the sweet spot, to be honest.
If you look at historically what has happened here over the last few years, 8 of the last 10 years has been double digits under par. But to your point, we're talking 11, 12, 13, 14 under par, somewhere around then. So I think you're right. I don't think we're going to end up with the situation where we're having this conversation on Sunday night, worried about what social media is going to say about how easy the game has gotten for these particular players. All right, another weekend at home for you. What's on the grill?
A lot of stuff, Rex. Skirt steak yesterday, salmon today. We got some chicken halves. We've got some pork chops. In-laws are coming over the weekend, so I'm sure I'll be firing up the grill.
Are you cooking for an army? Who are you making food for?
The only question, Rex, is can I get my wrist and my forearm to be able to squeeze the tongs in order to, cut the steak? Things are a little bit stiff, a little bit tender. I don't know.
I'm not a doctor, and you shouldn't play one on this particular podcast or vodcast.
I'm dying. Someone send help.
Go to a doctor.
Someone send help.
Yes, go to a doctor. That way we can be sure to be on this exact same vodcast on Sunday night. That's it for Writer's Block. We'll see you.